I'm about to share something with you that's going to help you connect with your teenage daughter. And if I would have known about this earlier, it would have saved me so much frustration. This is something that I've had to learn, and it's made a world of difference in the relationship with my daughter. Parents with families of happy situations use this same concept. Other adult women sing praises of their parents' involvement in this. It's like the perfect combination of parenting, protection, and friendship. And when you're around other families, you can easily tell which one is practicing this. It's such a simple concept, and you'll be amazed when you understand how effective this is. And then I'm going to give you a framework on how to use it. This will work for you no matter what age your daughter is. If she's at the age where she's just about ready to leave home, or if she's at that awkward time where she's in the teen and preteen years, or if she's an adolescent, this framework will work for you. This is absolutely an important episode to unpack. So let's jump right in and get started. Everything in life has a structure, and a family is no different. There's a structure to how you're going to show up and do things in your home so that it works. And I know that every family has different situations going on. But one thing is very clear is that dads play an important role in the lives of their daughters. It's one of the hardest jobs a dad could ever do, but it's also one of the most rewarding. A daughter seeks her dad's approval, and it's extremely important to her that she has his approval. Girls are simply complex, and they need their dad's stability so that they can zero in and find clarity through that complexity. And when you put that together of a dad and a mom and a child, it becomes this beautiful picture and a vision of safety and security. How can we as parents do our level best to raise our teenage daughters through these uncertain times? It all comes down to a 4-part framework, and it goes something like this: relationship before rules, time set aside for her, mentorship, her favorite sounding board, and rules that bring security. Real quick, I just wanted to pause for a second to say thank you for joining me today. Thanks for spending the time with me as we go over this important topic. My name is Caleb Becker, and I'm an entrepreneur, business owner, and I teach other entrepreneurs how to run a home-based business. I care about what goes on at home, and I want to build a life that we all love. So let's jump right back in where we left off. All right, let's go over each one of these in depth and try to make sense of how to put all this together. So, rules before relationships. Your daughter is desiring a relationship. She wants to know that she is connected with you heart to heart. And for a dad to fill that place, it's extremely important. We dads, we tend to think with our heads and not our hearts. Our daughters think with their hearts. Same thing with your wife. She's the same thing. She thinks with her heart. And we dads got to remember that we continually need to get what's up here in our head and somehow have it come from our heart. So the relationship is sought after, and it's something that she desires more than anything. And to build up that relationship, we need to spend time in talking with her. All right? That's how this works. And when we spend time talking with her, we need to allow her to talk. And then we as dads, we need to listen. Moms do too, but for you dads to fill this place and listen to your daughter, it's extremely important. She just wants to talk and listen. Just simply listen and actively listen. We can't be listening to her while we're, grabbing our device, looking at it. We can't listen to her when you're looking at something else. You need to actively listen, and it takes effort, dads. I know it does, but it's worth it. And we need to find a way to make deposits into this relationship. How can you add value to her? How can you show her that you care about this relationship? So making deposits, an active deposit as a dad into your daughter's life is going to go a long ways. So from a dad's perspective, show your daughter that you are committed to her for the long haul. If something is a little bit uncertain right now, or maybe things aren't just going that well, maybe she did something that was disobedient, the long haul relationship has a way to sort through that without jumping quickly to conclusions. So show her that you're committed for the long haul. All right, the second part of this framework is setting time aside for her. And you'll notice as I go through this framework that there's a reason why they are in this order. Relationships first, and then we're going to also set time aside, specifically set time aside. So take time to connect. Take the time. Depending if you're building a business, if you're busy working at a demanding job, if you're just starting up a new idea and you would like to make extra income, it takes a lot of your time, it takes a lot of your focus, and what we as parents tend to do is we tend to put all that attention onto that thing that we're trying to build, and we don't leave any time set aside for what our daughters need or your children need. Specifically for the daughter, it's extremely important that you too find a way to spend time with her. So do things together. All right, I'm not saying all the time, but just do things together. Find a common interest and do it with her. Here's a little tip for you dads, something to try, something that I've used, and I found out that it works out very well. Go on a special outing with your daughter, kind of like a date. All right, you're not going to date your daughter, but kind of like a date, meaning it's a special place, something that she was interested in, and you did it with just you and her. You and her did this together. It can be extremely noisy, and it feels like there's no attention brought towards her. So if you find a little time, a special time to go and do something special with her, kind of essentially date your daughter, go to a coffee shop, go out for some donuts, go out for a cup of tea, find something that you know she's interested in and go do that together. I promise you, you'll never regret it. I promise you, you'll enjoy those moments. Your daughter is amazing. She's got some really cool ideas. She's got a very interesting way to look at life. And when you can just sit there with your daughter and listen to her over a cup of coffee at a little special restaurant or a little shop somewheres, you'll be surprised. You'll be surprised. There's a lot of creativity and specialness coming from this little heart of hers. And when you take that time to go on those special outings with your daughter, you'll find it. And if you don't take those times, you won't know about it. All right? And the thing that you need to understand is that little bit of time that you took out for her is a huge deposit into that relationship. Huge deposit. It compounds in so many ways. So this is something that I have not done a lot of in the past and something that I've been doing now, and I've realized how much of a difference it has made. So that message particularly goes to you dads. Do that for her. You will be amazed of what that will do for her. Pursue her interests, pursue what she's doing. From a dad's perspective, I find that I ask the wrong questions. I try to show interest in what she's doing and I get negative responses. I feel like sometimes she's not interested in my interest in her. And so I get this pushback. All right. Well, don't let that stop you. Dads, you're married. All right. You found your wife and you found her through that pursuit, through rejection, through all kinds of hurdles you had to go through. All right. Your daughter she's a woman. She's a young woman going to grow up into womanhood. She's got the same kind of framework going on there. And dads, it's important that we find a way to pursue her, and she will thank you later for this. You might not notice it now, but she'll thank you later for that. So that's the second element of this framework, is time. All right. The third is mentorship. You need to become her favorite sounding board. As parents, this is extremely important, and we need to foster this and build a place where this can happen. She needs somebody in her life to help her figure out who she is. Like I mentioned earlier, girls in general are complex. All right. And I say that in a good way. It's all good. There's nothing negative about that. They're complex. And so because of that complexity, they need a sounding board. And so we need to become their mentor. And in that mentorship, we're laying this like ground of safety, security, an openness, and a way for her to know that she has a place to go to get advice and to understand who she is. Because in that space that we're providing for her, she's going to talk about some crazy things. She's got some crazy ideas. All right. And that's okay. That's just how it is. We need to have somebody to share crazy ideas with. She needs that in her life. Help her sort through those ideas. Help her sort through it. And like I said before, back to that relationship side and taking time for her, we don't want to do the talking. We want to listen, but we want to also give her good, sound, solid advice, especially when she feels like she can actually open herself up and she can ask you, what should she do? And because we as parents are thinking the long haul, we're thinking years down the road, it's important for us to take all of our ideas and suggestions and ways of helping her and let her do the thinking. Help her to think for herself. She's going to need that later. She's going to need to learn how to think for herself, giving her a foothold on how she can embrace life. All right, the last one of this framework is rules. Rules that bring security. We don't lay rules down for a heavy hand and punish accordingly. We lay rules down so that it brings security. That's why we do it. They need to know and understand that they have a secure place. Back like I said before, relationship before rules applies here. When we go through the framework and we go relationships first, we go through time that we give them, and then we go through mentorship. We come down to rules. It makes it work a lot better because we've been making deposits into all these other areas. So that's why this framework is in this order. And especially girls, between girls and dads, they need a lot of relationship. All right. And this is, again, an onus on us dads that girls do not want to disappoint their dads. They want their dad's approval. It's something that's extremely important to them. They want to know that their dad approves of them. The rules that we give our daughters are there for that purpose. They're there so that they can follow them, and with that, they know that they're getting our approval. So set clear expectations. Don't muddy up the waters, confusion here. Set clear expectations for your daughters so they know that they are doing the things that are approving you as a dad and for both of you as parents. We have to find a way to set the reasonable boundaries so that she knows how far she can go. She knows what her limits are. And I like to use that word boundaries because that's how it makes sense to me as I'm building a home here that protects them, is that they realize that these are boundaries. Outside of these boundaries are confusion and chaos and harm and hate and destruction. Inside of these boundaries is safety and security, somewhere where they can come home to and they can trust. So the boundaries that we set, they need to be reasonable. They need to be a reasonable boundary that they too can feel like they're loved and they're safe and secure. And then as the daughter grows older and she goes through the different years, the rules need to be adjusted and changed according to her maturity. As the daughter grows up, the boundaries can maybe expand in another area and maybe open up into another place that she hasn't really been before. As your daughter matures, so do those boundary lines. You'd be surprised at how many parents are reluctant in opening boundaries, but we got to remember we're trying to create that reasonable way to protect them. And when they get older, they start thinking for themselves and they can understand things, and they're going to look at some old boundary rule as being silly. All right. So we want to grow with them as well. When we raise our daughters inside of this framework, we're going to be extremely connected with them, that we'll be able to understand what rules need to be changed, what boundary lines need to be reset, because we're growing with them. That's why this is so important. That's why there's never been a better time to stick to a framework like this than right now. Family life is so beautiful and so amazing, and also extremely difficult. And for you in your home with your daughter, dads, hear me out. Your daughter needs to know that you got her back. When all life falls and fails and crumbles, she needs to know that you got her back. If she's ever in trouble, she knows she's got someone she can turn to. Dads, we need to do our part in this. Parents, moms and dads, we need to take our place in working together in this. Your daughter is a beautiful soul, and she's looking to you as her parents to be there for her. Let's just accept the challenge, jump in, and give it our best efforts. So thanks for joining me in this episode, and I'll see you in the next one.